So we miss anything since?
Bill is hard to forget. But we don't refer to any specific person.
I didn't realize that until he said that.
I know what the train was for.
They took pay or visit the towns. And I told her to drive by and read it to see if it was.
You know, just happy to be here. That's what it is. You look like a 42 shades of pink. I said, you look like a 42 shades of pink.
That was just 2:30 this morning.
Glad you're here.
Sorry, I'm a little bit late. I'm still kind of under the weather, recovering, so I apologize.
We understand.
All right, I think we're gonna get started. Hopefully we can get this done with under an hour. There is cookies up there. If there's questions that you wanna ask, put them in the box. Write them, there's a piece of paper up there. We'll go ahead and let everybody introduce themselves and tell them why they're running and what, they wanna do and everything, and then we'll go to the questions. So I guess nobody's running against the mayor, so I guess we'll begin with the mayor. So.
Well, everybody knows me. I'm Jim Pennico. I've been the mayor since January of 22, I think it is. And I believe I've done a pretty good job on trying to lead that town in a certain direction, which is basically to be a nice, clean environment, to clean up some of the nuisance areas in the town. We've had a lot of junk vehicles and things like that. I've had pretty good success talking to people about that, working with them and getting solutions on that without having to go to court. And unfortunately, there are those people that are stubborn and don't want to follow the rules, so we end up having to take some sort of further action. So yeah, it is a necessary thing. Things I'd like to see in town, I'd like to see more community participation. We have some really good groups of people, such as Hometown Pride, who do a lot of nice things to make the town look a little better. We could use more help in those areas. I'd like to see people pull together more to do projects that we have. For instance, we have a schoolhouse down here, we have a log cabin, and we have very, very few people who get involved with the maintenance or the painting on those things. I'd like to see more of that pulled together. I'd like to see things like our Lions Club pull together and help out some of the needy. We could use programs like Christmas in April to help out those that are less fortunate. Maybe they need a new screen door. Maybe they need a new gutter hanging over their front porch or something like that. So I'd like to see more of that. We've had quite a few successes in town. I think we've addressed a lot of problems. We have received grants to help extend the Three Rivers Trail across the city. That'll be done. We've been working with the Iowa DOT to not only widen the road, but put in trails on both sides. That'll all be conducted next spring when the work commences. been successful in getting a grant from DNR to help take down Stella's. As many people know, that building has been sitting basically vacant since 2010. The city bought it sometime later with the intent that they were going to try to do something useful with it. After they had an engineering study done on it, they found out that it was gonna cost at least $100,000 to make it stable. There's no budget, there's no amount of money, there's no donor in this community who's willing to throw that kind of money at something where there is no firm plan, where there is, basically this building is junk, needs to come down, and hopefully within the next month that building will be gone. Unfortunately, we have a lot of open commercial ground here. Unfortunately, we don't have many people lined up at the door to put up new buildings on these properties. So the question is, how do we grow our city if we can? We've been working with the Pocahontas County Economic Development Commission. They have been trying to find small businesses who are willing to locate, small businesses who will take a small building, maybe upgrade it a little bit so that they have a place to start. But the reality of somebody coming in and putting up a nice big building to put in a, let's say a cafe or some sort of a manufacturing business, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen until the county starts to grow itself. The county has its problems, just like we do. Every community in the county has its problems. We're trying to address those things, but the reality is the economics of the current administration and all that we're going through right now is just not going to allow for that. Wages are depressed here. We're not going to get a whole lot of people in here with top wages. It's difficult in the city to even compete with the elevator, pro co-op, with the quarry on wages, so it becomes difficult to find good people to work. So we've had our challenges. We try to meet them in the best possible way, and hopefully we can move ahead. I'm not trying to paint a negative picture, but at the same time we have to be realistic. We don't have a lot of revenue. Revenue is going to shrink coming down the road because a lot of the tax base is going to change over the next 6 years. And so we will have less revenue coming into the city. The expenses will go up, and we'll have to find a way to meet these budgets. Now, I think we can work together to make things work, but there are certain things that we're gonna end up having to give up. We can't keep everything going the way it is. So if you have an idea that we can just create funds here and there to take care of these items, that's not reality. So I apologize that is a little bit negative, but we have to be realistic going forward. So anyway, I'll get off the soapbox.
All right, let's go to one of the new ones. Josh, you want to introduce yourself and tell everybody about you and why you want to run?
I'm Josh Robertson. Most everyone knows me as Bear. Lived here for 9 years now. The reason why I want to run is because I want to see this town grow. I don't want to see this become another rural America town. The town I grew up in, the manufacturing shut down, and it's going down fast. And it's only an hour away. I want to try and help grow this town. I want to see this is a nice town. This is a good place to live. You know, I have good neighbors. The people in this town are good-hearted and they're willing to help. They want to help. As long as you're willing to ask, they're willing to help. And I want to see everyone, you know, be able to have a voice. There's a lot of people that don't even try because they don't even think they have a voice in this town. They just mind their business and just go about their day. And I don't think that's right. I think everyone should be able to have a voice, and that's why I'm running.
Jeremy?
My name is Jeremy Sauter. I've lived here for 28 years. Married a great woman from this town, Marion. We raised our kids here, and it was a great place to raise kids. I had things to do. They had the pool, you have the pool. You still have the pool, but it needs help. I don't want to see it disappear, or we need to find a solution to replace it. You're not going to bring families in without a pool or things for the kids to do. I'm trying to think what else. We're tired, my wife and I are tired of seeing houses torn down. It won't be long before we're going to live, if it depends anybody in Havelock or any of these other towns, where you've got all kinds of empty lots. It looks bad. Our downtown, and I understand what the mayor says, it's tough to get people in. But when I moved here, there were buildings in almost every one of these spots. Okay, we didn't have to have them for snow. I mean, there's no one somewhere else. I know that. It's all piled up other places, and there are plenty of other places to take it. We could get people in here to build shops, anything like that. I know we can. It's going to take some work, but you can't just hold them for that. Also, we're losing chances of tax revenue from that. Same for the houses that are torn down. An empty lot brings us nothing in revenue. I mean, it just puts more burden on everybody else. If you take that house, some of these out here, they're beyond repair. I understand. But there are others that I've seen that can be fixed. Now, we have to get them away from the LLCs. That's a problem. And then you got to find somebody willing to do it. Now, how do you do that? Well, if you look at what it costs to tear down a house, what, $7,000, $10,000 to tear it down and haul it out? All I have to do is put a fund, when you're looking at a house, for half of that off to the side, find somebody to renovate it. Once they've renovated it, give them that money towards what they do. Same thing for some of these nuisance ones. I understand, some people don't want to clean it up, but there are some that if you give them a little bit of incentive, they might do it. I'm not saying go pay for everything for them or whatever. If they need a fence, work with them, pay for part of it. But I think we spend too much on legal fees and things like tearing down the houses. And we just want to see a future here for the next generation. Our kids love growing up here. I got grandkids, I'd love to have them here. I got one grandkid who lives here. And another one, I'd love to see them move here, but I don't know, they're used to bigger towns. But you gotta have something for them to do. And right now we don't. And that's why I'm running.
Thank you. Lana?
I've been on council for a while. Lived in town, I believe, 23 years. We upped the population of Rolfe by 7 in 2 weeks. When we moved here, 2 weeks later, our son and his family of 5 also moved here. I've been a city administrator. I think I've got a pretty good financial ability. Do I know everything? Good grief, no. That's not realistic. The dear Lord put us all here on earth, and we all have a purpose. And I'd like to think we can work together. I hear different things, whether it be tearing down buildings unnecessarily. And I guess maybe we should have had Mr. Brandhoy or whoever was involved in tearing the buildings down. The buildings came down because they were a hazard and unsafe. It wasn't because we needed more room to put the snow. That's the least of what we do with our buildings or our homes. They come down because they have been condemned. Maybe they're full of lead. Maybe the roofs are gone, the windows, the floors, the furnaces. Some time ago, there was funds available, and I think it was referred to CDBG grants back when I was in City Hall. That basically, I think, gave the homeowner up to $20,000 or $25,000 that they could get They had to live in the home, they had to own that home themselves, they had to be open to periodic unannounced inspections. But if it was kept orderly and as it should be, then that loan or grant was basically forgiven. So, and I think we had at least one person that I can think of that took advantage of that.
Since I've been here, we've had like 20 houses take advantage of that. But right now, that program is,
Doesn't exist.
they're rehabbing it.
Yeah.
And they haven't come out with new stuff yet.
Yeah, I know we all want free money. I know, you know, I'm like everybody else, we don't wanna lose the pool, but I know some figures. In 2023, I believe we fell short $3,373.50 to be exact. And our budget for 2023 was $38,500. And it's true, your public services, your parks, whatever, are not going to make you money. It's something that you provide to the public so that they do have something to do, and it's a positive. In 2024, I think maybe we have a budget of $38,650, so that started July 1st. You know where we're at for 2024 right now? We've got, I think $5,460 left to work with until June 30th. You know, it's sad, and I know.
That's just for the pool.
Yes.
She's just talking about the
Yes,
pool.
I'm just talking pool. I'm
I
not
heard
talking
somebody
parks.
cringe thinking it was the whole
Yeah,
budget.
no, it's just the pool. And I know, again, from having done Angie's job, it's a never-ending job of trying to find grants and free money. Like they said, well, find us a grant for a new pool. That takes basically the CAT grant, which is another classification. But like she said, she's done it 6 years in a row. Apply, along with over 250 other cities in the state of Iowa wanting that same money. So again, we all have that want, but I don't know what the answer is. We've had an estimate, I believe, just on the flooring of the pool, and that came in somewhere, I've heard figures of 180 to 300,000 just for the floor. And we know it's not just the floor that's the issue. The sides are literally gonna cave in, guys. You know, it was built in the 60s or 70s? 70. You know, and I wish we could all go in and excavate and do our own thing, like that's how that pool got built. But now there's so many regulations and so much red tape, unfortunately, we can't do that. So, yeah, I wanna see things for our kids to do too. I think it's a positive. You know, I'm a member of Hometown Pride. I think members in that group do a great job of going again, door to door, asking people, do you need help? Can we do this for you? Jim himself has gone, offered his time, his labor, his efforts too many times to be greeted to get the F off our property. Or they're greeted by a handgun. So people, I won't try to cry about this, but damn it, get our acts together. You're acting like a bunch of kids that don't want to be told the word no. I've heard anywhere from they want an open range. Do you know what an open range is? That means whether you've got a chicken, a cow, a pig, a horse, let it roam. No fences, just let them roam. Open range. I'm sorry. I don't live in town for that reason. I've heard things, they want to do away with all the ordinances. Don't want to be told what to do. You know, ordinance, you know, what is an ordinance? An ordinance is a law, and it applies to everybody. I've always said, I don't care who you are, what you got, what you don't have, what you do or what you don't do. Take pride in yourself, take pride in your property, take pride in your community. Get out there and volunteer. If you see your neighbor needs some help, offer some help. Make the difference. That's the only way things will get better. Still am fighting vigorously to get Dollar General to come to our community. Right now, I know Sioux Rapids was chosen as a location. They have not written us off. So that's another incentive of why keep your place neat, tidy. Think of the jobs and the tax revenue it could bring to our community. So again, every time a negative creeps into your brain, throw it out. You gotta stay positive. No one benefits from negativity. So I guess that's kind of why I'm running. You know, I think Jim has done a great job. He's kind of gone above and beyond, I feel, in a lot of ways of what he could and maybe should have been doing. But you can't say that he has not tried to work with people. And yes, we don't like to have legal, and we have not had that much in legal fees. But as he said, unfortunately, there are those that think they don't have to have the rules apply to them. So when you get people like that, that's where problems come. So again, I'm running. I hope you will vote for me. If you ever have questions or concerns, knock on my door. I work a lot. I'm here at the post office from 6:45 in the morning until 11:45 approximately. Then from there, I head to Pocahontas, and I'm your pharmacy clerk over at Thrifty White Pharmacy until 5:30. So odds are it might be an evening you have to catch me, and I might be at a ball game or whatever with a grandkid too. But I'm always open to questions or suggestions. Talking is the only way things can get better. Sitting and just stewing about something, or again, that stinking thinking does a lot of damage, guys. So again, hope you vote for me. And I don't know if the coffee ever got done, but the coffee and the cookies are there, guys. And no, I didn't bake all day.
Okay, we'll go to some of the questions, and then, as our acting mayor, he has a question for each one of the candidates, but we'll go with an audience, and then we'll go to a mayor one, maybe a couple audience, and then the other mayor one, too, specific candidate. Okay, this one. Why would, and whoever wants to go first, or y'all can give quick answers, a quick answer, you know. Why would good families move here when they see the unkept yards and houses? And then they wrote, one family in general said they would not have moved to Rolfe if they saw some of the east side houses first and lots. I had to figure out which was the east side and east side. Anybody?
I'll go. Had a gentleman come out of Minnesota to put a new loading dock at the post office. And yeah, he had his comments about, holy geez. You know, he came down Highway 15, and then he must have went over to Humboldt and took something there too. And he admitted, you know, we have some entrances to our community that are concerning. I will share, I did go to the county supervisors and ask if there was anything that they could do on the county level to help people, encourage them to maybe tidy up. And they know too that they needed to do some revamping and put a little more teeth behind some of their guidances and such. So last I knew, that's kind of what they're working on and what have you, so.
Anyone else wanna take a jab at that one?
It would be, I can understand that person's concern, because there are a number of unkept places in town. The majority of the people in this town are thoughtful. They keep their places as neat as possible. Obviously, we don't have a lot of Better Homes and Gardens picture type homes, but we do have a lot of people that they take pride in what they do have. Times are hard, we get all that. I think that it was brought up before that if we try to encourage a neighbor, you know, if you need some help picking that up or taking care of that, I'll be more than happy to help you haul it off or whatever. That type of a dialogue is usually productive. There are cases where unfortunately it's not, and I guess you have to learn to deal with those people accordingly. But I can understand if I drove into town and I went down by certain properties, I would go, "Good, I think I'll find someplace else to move." That's the sad reality of what some people, the length they will go to throw a wrench into everybody else's pride. So,
Yeah, okay, there are some that the people I know can't afford to do it, take care of them all the time, I know that. There's other ones, you know, maybe they should do it more often, it'd be nice if they were kept better. But, you know, I come into town, you do that, the same thing goes for all of our empty lots. You could say that, they could come into town and say, well, all this grass is mowed, but what about all this empty lots? Why isn't anybody moving here, building? You know, you could have the same thing there. I think there's, you know, we can work with everybody to try to get things solved. Okay, it's just finding the right tone to do it.
Here's one for the others. What are the 3 best things about our town? Josh?
I guess the 3 best things about this town that I can think of. Are probably the generosity of the people in town. Because like I said before, there's a lot of good-hearted people in this town that would do a lot for you if you're willing to ask. I would say that for the most part, most people do try to keep up on their properties. There are some that just don't care. And living in rural Iowa, you're gonna have that. It's a sad reality. People move to small towns because there's no cops, there's nothing to worry about. You know, we live in Iowa. For the longest time, Iowa was the meth capital of the world. All the small towns have that issue. And thirdly, I would say that the groups that are held in this town, the Lions Club, the RBI and everything, they're some of the better groups I've seen from the towns that I have lived in. They actually try. And they try and do better. I guess that's it.
Anybody else?
To me, this facility is very impressive to have a community of less than 600 people with this type of a community. Our library is outstanding. I think Becky just is doing an outstanding job with the kids and trying to have different activities and get the kids involved. And you know, I wish more would take advantage of it. That's the sad part of it. I think our parks are very impressive. I mean, let's face it, you come up that highway from the south or down from the north, it's a very impressive statement. And I think says a lot for positive for the communities. You know, the co-op, I'm very thankful to them. I mean, my Lord, what they spent, $700 plus grand? You know, people, that wasn't a spit in the bucket. They did a lot for this community and cleaning it up and, again, took pride in the business. I think whether it be the group of, I'm sorry, of course I kind of talked the hometown pride people up, but they work their buns off. I don't care if it's us watering trees to whatever. They're doing a lot, guys. They're not just out picking the weeds out of the corner and the flowers or whatever. They're out there working and looking for grants and improvements. You know, their next project is to put the automated doors on our facility here. You know, that's gonna be another $10,000 undertaking, but you know, they're already seeking ways to help it be paid for, and it'll become a reality, just like this flooring in this place. So there's a lot of people that do good.
move on. This is a question from the mayor to, you're right on the top of the list, to Lana Pratt. What can we do better in trying to bring new business to the city? What do you think we can do better in trying to bring new business to the city?
Well, I think Mary Jo would tell you, I'm a frequent caller to her, you know, what are you hearing from Dollar General? Because as Jim pointed out, we need that county help to try and help us look attractive and enticing to a business to come to our community. I mean, we talk about businesses wanting to come to town, and I don't need to get on my soapbox, but we had a cafe in this town, guys, and that was Roger and Pam's. How many of you ever went in there and even bought a meal? Well, I'm glad, but unfortunately there weren't enough of us. You know, so if you've got a business, you've got to support it. I don't care if it's as basic as the post office. You need stamps or you need to mail somebody, use this post office. Don't be trotting to Pokey or wherever else. Use this post office, because if you don't use it, you can lose it. You know, and I know that the bar probably has its struggles too. You gotta frequent these places, guys, or you can't just open your door and say, ah, I got a business. You know, I tried to run the review just out of our double detached garage. I can tell you how many people in this town came. I had people come, but they weren't people from this town. So then that's when I moved. And yes, I had my retail shop 5 years in Humboldt and 2 years in Algona. But, you know, I wanted it to be here, but you gotta support it. So, yeah. That's, again, keep it picked up. And again, I don't care if you're rich, poor, in between, indifferent, whatever. You know, and say that some people can't afford it. I don't care. It doesn't take anything to pick it up. There's no investment there. Pick it up. You know, get it out of sight. You know, if you got a garage door, shut the garage doors. That doesn't take money. That just might take a little effort, but doesn't not have to take money.
Okay, we go back to the community question. What is your solution to enforcing the ordinance when attempts are made face to face and then told, take me to court? Do you say, oh, that's okay, this is only Rolfe? And if you were on the council, would you help to enforce the ordinances? We'll go Jeremy, newcomer.
We'll say that again, enforcing the code.
Yeah, what is your solution to enforcing the ordinance when attempts are made face to face and then told, take me to court? Do you say that's okay, this is only Rolfe? And if you were on the council, would you help to enforce the ordinances? So kind of like two questions in there they wrote.
Okay, well, you guys person, you could say you started with a gentle tone with somebody, and sometimes they're still gonna go tell you to pound sand, you know? They're not gonna do anything for you.
Can you speak up, Jeremy?
Sorry. Some people are gonna tell you to pound sand. They're not gonna do it. Well, you want them to clean it up, okay? If you have to take them to court, you're gonna have to. There's nothing about it. Some of the ordinances, I think, go a little too far. Maybe we need to look at them. You know, maybe they don't. We gotta talk about that. What else to tell you? But I would enforce them as they are now. That's what you have to do. I think there's need for some change in the ordinances. I think, you know, I've heard stuff about the chickens and that. I've heard before how, well, this city isn't doing it, that city's not doing it. Altoona, the big cities down there, they're doing it now. They're allowing people to have chickens. Not old, like 6. But, you know, we have to have a regulation on it, but we need to allow that stuff. We can't tell people, you know, am I gonna bring in cows in town? I don't think I want cows in town, but, you know, chickens is not, you gotta look at each situation differently.
Alrighty. And there's some that put some specific to them. I'm trying to just pick out a few that are general, and then we'll get to those. Some people want a specific question asked of a specific person. We'll go with this one. What have you specifically done to keep Rolfe clean and nice? Do do you volunteer to help people? And if everybody just wants to give a quick answer?
Should we read that again, please?
Oh, sorry, put it down. What have you specifically done to keep Rolfe clean and nice? And do you volunteer to help people? Y'all can just do a quick answer.
For me, yes.
Yes?
I volunteer to help people. I've told people if they need my assistance, please, ask, let me know. I'll be more than happy to help you out. I do my part to keep my property picked up. I think I try to do my job as mayor to enforce the ordinances by asking people to keep their places picked up, to deal with the nuisance vehicles that we've dealt with over the last couple of years. We've gotten rid of a lot of them. Some people, they don't understand that there may be a solution out there, such as I got a hold of one person, provided them a list of places where they could sell their vehicle. They were more than happy to make that call, got some money out of it, good to go. So it's possible that we can work together. There are just those few negatives that just make life more difficult.
Anything else?
I guess I know my neighbors have all had health issues in the past year, and they couldn't take care of their yards, so I took care of them for them. Where I park my semi, if I see trash down there, I pick it up. So yeah, I mean, do I volunteer? Not so much, not as much as I probably should. Sometimes there's not a lot of time. Working 6-7 days a week, you don't have a lot of time. But I do what I can when I can.
I think you should be applauded for that.
I don't need a pat on the back,
You're doing the right thing.
the point is, I appreciate it, but it's just helping out. That's all it takes is one kind act.
Do you want to?
One kind word to change someone's attitude for a day.
Yep.
Jerry?
Yeah, I say I belong to RBA, I belong to Lions Club. I wish I could be a little more
I
active.
can't hear you.
Sorry,
Sorry.
I don't have a lot of voice. I belong to Lions Club and and RBI. We're trying to do everything we can to get things going, come up with ideas for people to help out. I'd like to be able to physically do more myself. I can't do a lot. But the biggest key is trying to organize people to do it. That's bringing people together. We don't have enough togetherness between our groups. Okay, we need to bring them more together. That's the problem. And it's tough to bring in some of these new people that have moved to town. They are different, some of them different cultures. Okay, they're sticking together, but we need to bring everybody into one big family to make this thing better.
Do you have any?
Yeah, I'm hometown pride.
Yeah.
What little bit of singing group, some of the Rolfe people get together and do some of the holidays and what have you. I probably belong to that. Humble chorus member, what have you. I'm a singer from way back, so it's, yeah. And even back when I was driving red and white bus of Midas, I came to town, I sat over at the Heritage Park there and tried to get people, just decide a day and a time that I could come to Rolfe and pick you guys up. Yeah, of course, it was still gonna cost you $5 for a round trip, but I could take you to Pocahontas for groceries. Do you suppose people could agree on the day and time to do that? You'd have thought I was asking the world. I couldn't believe it. I thought, what better, let's just decide Wednesday at 1 o'clock, we're going for groceries. I mean, how tough is that, guys? But, it's just sad. But, so yeah, I've tried to encourage people to, let's do it together, guys, but it's a challenge.
All right, go to a mayor question.
Mayor is asking, Mr. Sauter, what houses that can be saved are we planning to tear down?
The one down here on Grant, the LLC owns, that one can be saved. I've been in there, I've looked at it. The front porch and the back porch, yeah, they're rotten, they need to come off. But the main portion of the house is solid. The wiring is a lot more modern than it is in a lot of houses. I mean, is it gonna be simple? No, but it can be done. It would be better to tear off those sections, put on the deck, fix the windows. I don't know how the furnace is. Okay, we don't know till you turn power on, but I know the power is good. At least it appears to be. When we tried to buy it to renovate it, we couldn't meet their price that they wanted. If somebody can come up with a price that's fair and find a way to incentivize it instead of tearing it down, you get it fixed up, you got another home for a family, you got more tax revenue. But that house can be saved. Now, I know there are others that can't. I've seen them, but there are some that can't. But we do have to get them out of the hands of these LLCs. Because they just keep flipping them over and flipping them over and flipping them over. That's a problem.
Are you talking about the Milligan, the house by Phyllis Milligan?
Yes,
Their foundation is half gone.
it isn't that bad.
Huh?
I've been in the basement, it's not that bad.
Well, I know there, and I saw big hunks of foundation gone.
It can be fixed though.
If you put 100,000
Have
into
you
it.
actually been in that house?
That one over there?
Right next to my place, have you actually been in?
We're not going to get into public commentary, we're just here to answer questions. We can get into all sorts of arguments, and we just don't need to go there. People will give their approaches tonight, their
He's on the
thoughts.
platform of he wants to fix condemned homes and stuff. That's what he's saying right now.
We understand that. What I'm saying is, we want to limit the public commentary we're taking away from answering the questions.
And I know Jeremy has talked about incentivize people to fix these houses. Again, there's a county, you can get up to 15,000, but you gotta live in the house. They're not gonna give you money to just go fix up whatever piece of property, and then you suddenly are gonna start drawing rent and such. You have to live in the property. So, if people wanna make an investment in a home, you're going to be responsible for having to fix it. If it's a roof, if it's windows, if it's furnace. I've got two sons that build houses and remodel. It's not cheap. You're talking tens and tens of thousands and such, and it's, you know, I understand you wanna keep a house so somebody can move here. But if the house, basically, if it's still got wiring that's, what do they call it, to the knob or whatever, you can't insure that house. Yeah, maybe the roof's not in whatever condition, and I guess that's the State Farm agent coming out on me, guys, but if you can't insure the property, do you think it's actually safe for inhabiting?
May I make a comment?
Okay,
Early on, when I asked the council if we would look at trying to take back some of these LLC-owned properties that are just gonna flip and flip and flip. One of the council members asked me, well, if the city gets it, would the city consider selling it at a reduced cost? And I said, that would be something we would examine, but we would need to have a firm plan by that person who planned to buy that. A timetable, milestones set. We need to know that if we approach this with a sale to make it, and with an effort to make it rehabitable, then we need to know that, you know, in 6 months I plan to have this done, in 1 year I plan to have this done, and in 18 months I plan to have a family living there. Or an owner that has taken possession of the property. We need to know that. We could work with that type of a plan, but we cannot, it would not be advisable to just buy a property and hold on to it forever and not do anything with it. So to answer your question, yes, we would like to look into those things, but we would need firm plans.
I agree. I'm not just saying take them back and then throw them out there, somebody, find somebody, whoever. You have to, when I talk about incentivizing, what's it cost to tear down a building? 10,000, whatever?
Probably half that.
Okay. Even if you took 2,500 of that cost, set it aside. Get somebody in there renovating it, get them a plan. Once they've done that work, then rebate that to them, is what I'm saying. But they have to have a solid plan. If you don't have a plan, you don't sell to them.
So we're kind of on the same page there.
Yeah, I'm not just looking at, I just wanna save the ones that can be saved, but we need to have a firm.
We
This,
agree.
you
We
need to
agree
do
on that.
electrical, you need to do plumbing, the roof. It all has to be fixed within a certain time frame.
We agree on that.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Question Doll. What do you notice when you enter a new town? The first thing you notice when you enter a new town?
Parks. Water tower. You got it then, it's a good statement, guys, I'm sorry.
Anybody else?
You notice all the signage. You notice that, and I gotta say, we have some tasteful signs coming into town. And we have a very tasteful, park coming in from the south. I wish we had a more tasteful view coming in from the north, but that's unfortunately beyond the city's, ability to do anything with. That would be more of the county. But we try to do our best. I think that a lot of things that we can do are just to spruce up what we have. Fortunately, this next year with resurfacing of Highway 15 from basically just short of the bridge at the north end of town, down to Main Street here at this corner, and then down to the highway, and then south, that's gonna make things look quite a bit better, and with the new sidewalks and that type of thing. So things are looking up. We need to put our best foot forward, and then perhaps we can entice those businesses and the people that either run them, work in them, or support our communities can maybe say, oh, well, not such a bad deal. There's a good place here. So that's all I have to say.
I'll agree with Jim on the signage and the art. I do a lot of traveling, and one of my most favorite places to go, and trust me, it's a long drive, but when the first time I drove into Dodge City, Kansas, and I seen all the murals of Wyatt Earp and everything down there, it was a really nice place. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I stopped by the truck stop on the outskirts of town, and it's not very pleasant. It was the first time I ever found a lot lizard. But the town itself, when you first come into town, it looked really nice. And seeing the signage when you come into town, Sunset Ridge, when you see, Rolfe, it looks nice. When you get up here and see the statue, it looks nice.
And I'd agree with that too. I mean, the signage now is good. The water tower, that was a nice thing. And the extra $6,000, I kind of question it, but
3,000.
No, wasn't it 12 or 6?
It would have cost us 8 something, so it was only 3 to 3,500 extra.
It was 12.
What?
It was 6 and 12.
8 and 12. Amen.
Look up the meetings, but anyway, the extra port, looks nice, but did we really need it? Okay. If you come into town, the parks look great out there. Nice little addition up here, trying to get the flower beds going. But one thing we don't do as well is taking care of the roads here in town. some are kinda rough, I know we really don't have a budget for a lot of it. But I've noticed over the past over years, and we're trying to keep on top of it now, is the weeds growing through. I mean, there have been years in the past where the streets here in town have weeds that tall, growing through them, on the edges. That looks horrible. I mean, that wouldn't be that hard to take care of with spray.
Brady, what could you do for our main street? You know, and some of these guys I know hit on before and.
I pray very hard, night and day, and I'm sorry, I still am hoping that the Lord blesses us with a Dollar General. We've got 2 locations as possibilities, and like I said, unfortunately, we've been put off for a year now. Every quarter comes, they keep saying, we'll have a decision, we'll have a decision. So, we're just kinda at that mercy and what have you, but in the meantime, I just hope that we can stay an attractive place that they'll wanna come to.
Anybody else?
Well, I'll tell you what, there was something at a recent meeting, it wasn't anybody here, but it was brought up. Somebody was interested in putting in a certain type of business, okay, liquor and tobacco. The person couldn't make it, and maybe they be coming in the next future meeting, I don't know, but it was sounded like, well, do we really need this? And it wasn't because, do we really want cheap liquor and tobacco here in town, it was to protect Prime. Okay, Prime has done a lot for us. You're also talking the same thing for Dollar General. You want to bring them to town. When you tell them, no, they can't sell liquor and tobacco and that. And also, you know, frankly, I know the Dollar Generals. We do lawn care, we've had in the past for several of them. Their buildings are run down for a reason, they don't take care of them.
Comes to employment.
Well, they just won't pay for it. They won't pay for repairs. I know this. I've dealt with it. So that's why a lot of them, this summer, I dealt with several where air conditioning didn't work. You went in there, they had a fan because they don't want to pay to repair it. I know times are tight, for money, but before you want to bring them to town, you don't think about it.
We'll go back to a mayor question for, yes, got it. For Josh. What is an ordinance or what is the purpose of an ordinance?
An ordinance is a law made by the city to be enforced by the city and to be followed by the citizens. And basically that's all it is. It's something that, you know, it's a general guideline, and yes, there is repercussions for not following ordinances. But it's a general guideline of how a city should operate, how it should look, and how it should run.
Right, we have to, citizens question, for all of you, whoever wants to. Do you follow all ordinances, why or why not? We've seen pallet fences, net fences, and others. Were they approved? Cars parked on lawns, cars parked in alleys, dogs always barking, a nuisance. Covered a lot.
Well, I'd say from our perspective, the city's perspective, my perspective, I've sort of taken the lead on trying to address some of these issues. Unfortunately, I'm not law enforcement. I don't have a badge, I don't have a gun. I can't make somebody do something. I can just go ask them, why are you parking in the middle of your yard? You're supposed to be on your driveway. Basically, they can tell me to go jump in a lake. There's not a whole lot I can do about that. I cannot yet, unfortunately, our 28E agreement with the SARA, they will not enforce city ordinances. They will come if there is a court decision that requires some action by the city. They will come and monitor to make sure it doesn't get out of hand, but they will not do the law enforcement thing. So our next course of action is to send a letter. And then sometimes it's just a matter of a courtesy letter. Sometimes after a person's received a couple of courtesy letters, they should know better, so they get another letter. And then we have to follow that up and follow that up and follow that up in some cases. So this could take months, nearly years sometimes to resolve these issues. I don't understand why people fight like that. It's so easy to just follow the rules. When you walk in your house, do you leave a trail of dirty clothes, or do you pick them up and throw them into your laundry? It's the same thing with your property. So we do our best to try to work with people. In some cases, we don't have the information that we need. Sometimes we have issues where we have properties that belong to one person that are scattered all over creation in town, and it's difficult to nail down exactly who is responsible for what. We try to move ahead cautiously. Sometimes the people respond, sometimes they don't. So all we can do is give our best and then go from there.
Anybody else? Do y'all follow the ordinances? I think they were asking for everything. Do you follow the ordinances? Why not?
Are you aware if you've got a dog or a cat, it's to be licensed every year, and you have to produce proof of rabies shots? You know, in this town, I think we've got what, 5 or 6?
Honestly, I think I'm up to like 20, but like last year we had 50. Last year we had 50, and then last year we had 40 ATVs and golf carts and all that, and I think this year we've only have like 5. And this year you didn't have to pay for it. Last year you still had to pay $20. This year you don't.
So, again, but
2 out of 10.
I'll admit, my dogs, I haven't paid for the license past years. We got tired of having 4 or 5 pets to register the dogs, and then sit here and we're only numbered 12 through 14 or 16, you know. And it got frustrating. I know how many more there are, and people aren't doing it. Yeah, I haven't paid it. I probably should. Okay, I'm not denying that. We have our fence to try to keep our dogs from barking. If we had the pallet deal around the outside, it worked. Unfortunately, a storm came through, busted a whole bunch of it down. We had to put it back together as best we could. I can't afford to put up a wood fence at this point. But a lot of our dogs' problem barking is the stray cats running around outside the fence, or stray dogs. They're out running around, my dogs see them, they start barking. And it's pack mentality, but I don't know what the solution is.
Josh, you got anything? on this one?
To be honest, I don't know 100% if my dog's registered or not.
Dale usually does register, but honestly, I don't think she came up this year.
Okay, well, then that's something I'll have to get taken care of. But normally, everything's taken care of. I mean, trust me, I have a very good vet bill. But normally, as far as I know, I try and follow the ordinances because I don't want the hassle. I really don't. I mean, like I said before, when you work 6 days a week, you don't have a lot of time. You don't want to deal with a bunch of stuff. So you try and take care of what you can when you can. And and as long as it's enough that you don't have to deal with the issues of the city coming after you, you know, obviously you try and do a little more, but you do what you can.
if anybody wants to know, it's $10 if your dog's not spayed, or your cat, $5 if it is spayed. Just information, what it is.
Right, this is probably pertaining only to last week, so this one's addressed to the mayor, but he might not know. It says, wonderful paint job on the water tower, but why is my water brown? And what is being done to correct this issue? If it was just this past week, our city guy forgot to inform me to inform the residents that the guy was here to flush the hydrants. So, I was not told until the day he come, and by that time it was too late. So, Unless the water was brown prior to last week when they were flushing the hydrants.
Fred's is brown all the time.
Fred's is?
Yes.
Well, that would be something for Tony to look into.
Yeah, he has filters on every faucet.
It's still brown.
No, but isn't that for a filter too?
Oh, okay.
It's either brown or it's burning me from chlorine. That's really about the water, I guess.
Because ours up here is always clear, and, I mean, if it's brown, then I need to be known so I can let the guys know. so
He's
they
got
can-
filters on all his, he's had it since he moved in, he's been that way for years.
Okay.
It's his pipes. It's been that forever.
Okay. What was this one? Trying to figure out, there's different people's in here, so I'm trying to grab people from everybody's. What are your thoughts on getting our own city police to enforce ordinances like parking dogs, parking on sidewalks, parking business trucks and trailers, excuse me, in the alley and or city property? List goes on. So I want to know if we could get police department to help with enforce our ordinances.
Last I knew, it was 75 grand to have the police, and that was one guy with one vehicle. I'm appreciative for the sheriff's department. You know, yeah, we pay them $5,000, I believe, a month, and they give us X amount of hours to come over and patrol and so forth that way. And I know they're trying to basically cover the county, because there's so many small communities like us that just cannot afford a police department. Again, it's a want. Do I want a police department? Sure. But there's not the revenue to be able to have one. It's just sometimes a sad fact.
The Economic Development Commission is starting to work on a plan that we could possibly have a person of law enforcement caliber be the nuisance abatement officer for the entire county. He would be detailed to the county sheriff's office. We would pay, just like we pay for the sheriff's 2080 agreement, we would pay a share on that cost. They haven't worked out all the details yet, but they have been working with the county supervisors and trying to put together a ordinance that the county supervisors can first adopt and then work towards finding that resource and then nailing down how that resource would be utilized and paid for. So those things are just beginning to happen. We don't know when the final product will be done. All we can do is go forward with what we know for right now. Fingers crossed that they will find a solution. The county supervisors will adopt some sort of a program that allows for that, and then we'll see how that turns out down the road.
You guys, any thoughts on law enforcement, what our current situation is?
I'd love to see law enforcement here again. Yeah, I'd love to see law enforcement here again. You know, county, great, but they can't only be here just a little bit. There's problems all the time. I mean, crime is gonna happen because we don't have enough law enforcement. But even one guy on the force, I understand they're not gonna be here 24/7. As far as the comments in that question is where parking is, I can tell you that the business in question here, I think, has tried to buy city property, has inquired about it and has been told no, these empty lots. We have, the company is ours, we just purchased another building and property downtown where we're gonna place more of that equipment. Our business is expanding, we need more room. I'm told it's not our problem, but we have these empty lots. We could have put up a shop in one of them, and that, but we chose to renovate another one. And as far as parking on that property, and we're told, you know, it can't be there, okay, parking on the city street, but is that still city property? I mean, but I think it's safer to have it on that lot if there's nothing being there right now than having it on the city street away.
I guess for law enforcement, I wouldn't mind seeing something here. You know, there's a lot of issues that never get dealt with, that no one ever talks about. And those issues need to be dealt with. And the problem is, the sheriff's department might know a little bit, but if you had someone that was local that knew what was going on in town, it would be a lot more different. Would it be nice to have something here? It probably would. You know, but as everyone else said, the chances of us actually getting something like that are pretty slim.
Let's go to a new question. How will you handle situations where people do not get council approval and just do what they want? Start with you two.
You know, I'd have to look into each situation differently. I mean, if it's something really small that can be corrected, whatever, if it's putting in a short little fence in a certain area, that's one thing. If you just come up and put up a building and don't have permits, or change out, somebody comes in, changes out all their windows and doors, whatever, you have to have permits to do that stuff for a reason. But if it's something small, you need to work with them. And I don't wanna cause a legal fight over something trivial, really.
I guess Jeremy's right. I mean, to an extent, it is situational. You know, I mean, if it's something minor, then why would we push? I mean, obviously something needs done, but why would we go to an extent of wasting taxpayer dollars when nothing's gonna change? When someone breaks an ordinance, like building a fence without getting a permit, if they were gonna build the fence and it was gonna be decent, then they probably would've got a permit, right? So if they're building a fence and it is a hazard, then that's something that needs addressed. But if they're doing something to better it, I mean, obviously I don't know all the ordinances and I don't know all the legal laws. I'm not going to say I do because I don't. I probably need to read over the ordinances and know everything. But that's something I haven't done. But like I said, I mean, there are times when something needs to happen, and there's times when it can be handled through communication.
Anything else?
Well, we have situations in town where we have people that have erected fences and they haven't bothered to do the 1-800 dig, so fortunately they didn't get blown up, or they didn't start a fire, or they didn't get hurt by their actions, but at the same time, it's not approved. And in a couple of cases, it looks like somebody from a third world put the fences up. It's made out of junk material. We have right now one situation where we had a person bring a building into town. And so I stopped and talked to that person and I said, you know, you need a building permit for that because it's over a certain size, you need a foundation. So why don't you contact our building inspector and he can lay out all the details for you. You can apply for a building permit and then we'll see, you know, what you want to do, where you want to put it, see if we can accommodate you. Yep, I'll do that. Well, the building got put in place, there's no foundation under it. It's attached to the back of a garage. And the person has no intent of getting, he did pick up a building permit, he hasn't filled it out or turned it in. So that the person decided that they didn't need to follow the rules, now we're going to have to go to court and basically make a threat. If you don't follow the rules, you're beyond us helping you now. You need to take it down, you need to get it properly permitted, then you can put it back up. So it's gonna take some time in court. I'm sure this person is gonna play delay, so it'll be years before this gets resolved. There's no need for this stuff. All people have to do is come forward. We had another situation where the person basically told me to get off his property because he knew the rules. He had talked to previous council members and they had told him what the rules were. He had no idea what he was talking about. He was just shooting jello at the wall to see if it would stick. That particular person, if he had just said, Jim, I should have got the building permit, I screwed up. How can we fix this? Would have worked with him. But no, he decided that he had to push and push and push. So we're in the middle of a legal battle on that. Same thing with, we have encountered an issue in this town called emotional support animals. I don't know how many people are familiar with that. That is when a person is given a prescription for an animal because they have a need to, an emotional need to be soothed, I guess you could say, the best thing in that. So we've tried to address that the best we can, and what we get is people that don't want to follow the rules. They just shoot, again, jello at the wall to see if it'll stick. We point out, this is where you're short on the information, this is what you need to do, and then they'll, well, no, I really don't need to do that. And so we end up having to go to court. I don't like going to court on all this stuff, but the trouble is that if you don't listen, you don't want to work with somebody, you're just getting in the way, and you're making it tough for everybody else, because some people out here look at it and go, well, there's a solution for me. I'll just say I need an emotional support animal. They have no idea how to apply for one. And the unfortunate reality in the emotional support animal realm is that all you have to do is type in emotional support animal in Google, and it'll list about 1,000 doctors who are willing to write you a prescription without ever looking at you, without ever knowing what your medical history is, write you a letter for a certain amount of money. It's a sad, sad thing in our society. I fully believe that if somebody needs an emotional support animal, you go through the proper process, you get the proper approvals, and we accommodate you. That's not a problem. But when you get a letter that says you're entitled to one animal, and you say, no, I need 10 animals, that goes beyond the pale. The other 9 should be a permit for a regular animal. That's simple. That's a simple solution. Yet people out there don't want to follow those simple rules. They don't want to, all they want to do is just create hate and discontent.
That's not what the court actually said on that one. On the court papers.
And do you know the medical issues of the person in question?
I know what the letter said, and I know what the law says.
And you gotta remember what the court said.
And
We're
so,
gonna keep moving on here. This question is kind of on the same thing that was just kind of discussed. They had 2 questions. What is your reason for running? Obviously, you guys all answered that at the beginning. But the next question was, do you consider fixing infrastructure priority over taking people to court? I know we were just talking about the court, but maybe you can address infrastructure or whatever versus taking people to court.
well, there's a balance there. We
Yep.
have a limited budget, and we have to address things as they come. We certainly, on the infrastructure, we have to look ahead. We have things that need to be done, such as continuing mapping the storm sewers, the septic system. Now we're in the process of evaluating our water system. So those things all have to be done, and then we also have to deal with these other nuisance abatement issues. So it's a mixed bag. You can't just say, well, no, we're gonna drop all this and we're just gonna focus on this. You have to take things as they come. So that's the reality that I've learned since I've been here in the office. If people, want to take up with that, they don't believe that, that's your issue. If you people feel that I'm not doing my job, want to vote me out, that's fine. You know, I don't really need this job. I can go home and I can play in my shop and create projects and do things for my neighbors, not have to worry about it. But I believe in this town, I believe in the good people in this town, and I think they need some help. I'm willing to provide that help and try to make this town better and attractive so that possibly we may never grow, but we can maintain what we have as best as possible. So that's, again, it's a mixed bag.
Anybody else on infrastructure?
Ordinance is an ordinance. I've said that, broken record, don't care who you are, what you got, what you ain't got. Ordinance is an ordinance. I don't care how big a project, how small a project. Bottom line, it's an ordinance. An ordinance has to be, my understandings, follows the guidelines of the state or fed. We can't be any less than they are. I know they said maybe we need to ease up on some of our ordinances. I don't think it works that way. So.
The ordinance can be written to be more stringent than state code or federal code. It cannot be written to subvert state or federal code. In other words, we can't say, we're not going to enforce any parking laws that the state has established, or like some of these bigger cities where they say, well, we're a sanctuary city, so we're not going to enforce the immigration rules. You can't do that. You'd be held liable, you'd probably go to court, and the city would probably be fined significantly by the state.
Do you guys have anything on infrastructure or? Otherwise, I'll move on to the next one.
The only thing is, does the city still have the same lawyer?
No.
No.
The city
You've
had
got
what?
the city attorney, you found a new attorney, right?
Yes.
Okay, I believe that he said, he suggested to drop some, to drop some of the legal stuff, because it's just going around in circles, you're just keeping getting more
Never
money.
said that.
No, he's never said that.
No.
He said it at a city hall meeting,
Yeah.
it's on video on YouTube, so.
Our new city attorney has never been.
The old one.
Yeah, that's not our city.
No, no, but what I'm saying
If
is,
you disagree, the next
Trying to make a
question.
point.
he,
Go on to another question.
what-
How do
I
you-
thought we're supposed to hear what your candidates have to say.
But you're arguing, so stop.
The audience is not supposed to
So let's
respond,
hear
it's
what
just
Jeremy
supposed to be.
has to say.
Okay,
I'm
then
just-
don't interrupt you.
okay, well, everybody's saying I was wrong, but no, it was the old attorney that said, stop wasting money.
No, we never said that to us.
I-
What we've been advised by several people in town was that pick and choose your battle wisely. Now, that's just general guidance, and we've never been told not to do something. We've never been advised not to do something.
Special meeting back in February, go back and look at it.
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
I was at, I swear it was, but anyway. We're gonna go nowhere with this, but I think we could be spending some of that money on infrastructure instead of going back and forth with one for a while. We need to get our utilities fixed first, okay, and the streets. I understand we need to take care of other things too, but it's a fine balance.
Sorry.
I have a question for you, Andy.
Okay.
Just off the top of your head, do you know how much we've spent in legal fees in the last year?
With just the new city attorney, maybe $4 grand. I'm not positive, so don't quote me on that one. I could go to the office and get a good number.
No, what I'm trying to do is establish that we aren't spending exorbitant amounts of money.
No.
And
And
that-
there's
that-
stuff
that
that
seems-
isn't taking people to court, there's like lien searches and, paperwork and other things that the citizens don't realize we have to do for legal stuff that we get charged for, so. All right, I got a plethora of these here, so, and I don't know, some of these, there's a few other questions, they're kind of, you guys have already kind of hit on them for the, but I don't think I'm already here, now we're free. So, pool. I'm just gonna read all the ones that were turned in on the pool. pool seems to be a hot topic too. That's a long one, so I'll start. There's 6 questions, I'm gonna read them all, but they're all kind of contained to the same thing. How are you going to how are you going to raise money for a pool? Lorenz has been raising, it cost them $3 million for their new pool. What are your thoughts on the swimming pool? Could you guys just call it a truce for a year as far as legal fees for a hot shot and maybe put that towards the pool? This one was directed to Jeremy. Jeremy, how much are you giving toward our new pool? Most people want to see the pool continue. However, where is the $300,000 to $2 million coming from? Another, Lorenz has been fundraising for years and not met their goal, and just met their goal, and just met their goal. I thought I had one more, because I thought somebody else referenced $3 million for the new pool. So, pool questions.
I guess I would hate to see the pool go. I really would. But at the same time, if it's not feasible to keep it, it's not feasible. There are other options. One issue this town has faced is vandalism from teenage children. That has been a huge ordeal. And right now we have a pool that may or may not make it. But there are other options that could be looked at. For those teenage kids, I mean, I can sit here and look at everyone. We were all teenagers once, we all did stupid stuff. It happened. But in today's and age with technology, people are posting this and they're getting nailed for stupidity. But what would be wrong with a skate park to take care of the teenage kids? You have a pool that could be revamped for far less than $3 million that could be utilized for something else. As I said, I'd hate to see the pool go, but the teenage populace of this town isn't very well behaved, is a good maybe word to use. And a lot of times they need something to do. Vandalism is an expression of art half the time. If they had something of their own that they could vandalize, instead of vandalizing parks and everything else, if they want to spray paint something on like a skate park, as long as it's not racist or hate, what does it matter? It's theirs. It's something that can be used as a form of art and expression to give them something to do rather than destroying something. Just an idea.
Anything else?
Well, it's gonna be awful expensive to try to fix the pool, that's obvious. We probably don't have the money to fix it. We can try to keep it going. Skate park's that's actually not a bad idea. The splash pad would be a good idea. I even had somebody bring up, talk about, right now, no swimming is allowed at the pond. But you look in Emmitsburg, off the main city beach right there, they're swimming there. Their only pool, other than that, that I know of, is with the college, as far as I know. But you could revamp that area to have kids so they could swim in the pond, honestly. You don't think so?
No. Too dangerous.
Why do they do it at the lake?
What about the liability?
There's liability in everything.
No first conversation. Any other thoughts? Otherwise, some of these questions are kind of the same, so I don't know. This one I want How do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making process? Did y'all hear me?
Everybody's
One of the things that
able to come.
we plan to do here shortly is that we have a Parks and Rec meeting coming up next Wednesday, I believe it is, first of the month. It's at 4:30. At 5:30, we want to have a town hall so that people can go out and tour the pool. They can see what the condition is of the pool. They can decide for themselves what is going to be required to make this thing usable, or are we just gonna throw up our hands? We have to let the people decide. The city cannot afford to purchase a new pool, to renovate, so it's gonna have to come down to possibly selecting a group of people to run that to ground, to do the research that's required, to get the engineering studies done, to figure out where the money is gonna come from, how to get all the money, and then how to put together a plan that going forward, that if we invest money, the community invests money into that pool, that we keep it going and keep it as self-sufficient as possible without having to dip into city funds to take care of it. Now, the city will pay for lifeguards and such like we always do, but it's the matter of if the pool needs a new pump, who's gonna pay for that? Is there gonna be a fund for that? There are people out here who probably would donate if it was a good plan in place, but it's gonna take the community to put together a commission and run these things to ground to make these things understandable and then to make an informed decision based on what they find. So that's how we want to involve the community, at least in this particular case. As far as buildings and things like that go, we need the community to speak up. We get a lot of people that they have a thought on things, but they won't say those things publicly. They'll tell you in private, you know, hey, I really agree with what you're doing there, but when you say, can you speak up about that one? No, I don't want to get involved. So there's that shyness that we have to get over. But there are a lot of people that will give you their opinion too. So we got to try to work with everybody, but people need to speak up and they need to be civil when we do this. We get a lot of, unfortunately, we got a couple of people in town who like to verbalize by signaling. In other words, when they see me going down the road, I get the finger. I get that because I guess they feel empowered that they're intimidating me or something like that. I don't know. I would ask them probably to go back to the intimidation school, get their money back, turn their phone back in because they failed miserably. I don't intimidate. So, again, I would like to work with the people of this city, but the city people have to be agreeable and work with everybody. They have to understand the bigger picture. And until that happens, we're gonna have these difficulties. We're gonna have these problems that we need to solve. I would love to see a lot of infrastructure improved, but the budgets won't allow for us to repave every street, put in new curb and gutter everywhere. There are loans out there, there are federal loans that we can apply for, but you gotta have backup money on that. You gotta have matching funds. Where do we come up with those things? So people would invest, but they need to have firm plans. They need to know that their investment is not gonna be just frittered away.
I think our council meetings have been the second Monday of every month. I think, well, for 20 plus years that I've been here. So, it's an open meeting, and yes, you can come in and sign in and you get 5 minutes. No, we're not gonna let you carry on, which unfortunately I was part of councils and city administrator where the council meetings used to last 6 hours. We talk about unproductive, but you know, you do have an opportunity to speak up, and you sure as heck got an opportunity to come to a council person or the mayor and express your comments and suggestions. Nobody's stopping you. Believe me, we'd love somebody to fix it and tell us what would make it right. You know, we know right from wrong, guys, for crying out loud. do the right.
Communication is key. And I think one thing that there's an issue with is 5:30 at night for a city council meeting on a weeknight is not always feasible for a lot of families. They get home, they gotta feed their kids, they gotta help them with homework. It's not always feasible to make it to a city council meeting. A town hall meeting on a weekend, and that would involve giving up free time so that people could make it, would be another viable option.
Most of this, of what's left is nuisance abatements, junk vehicles. Do you think everybody's kinda answered them good enough? Or do I
Well, I
need?
have one specific one I want you to read, and I don't care who knows it.
I wouldn't know which one it is, 'cause what's left are basically all nuisance abatement questions. If you know which one's yours. Oh, yeah, I did want to single out that. Yes. I did one for each one.
You mind if I ask this one? Is that okay?
I thought civilians weren't speaking during this meeting.
I just asked if I could. Let Angie read it.
Okay, you read it. Check you too.
Jeremy, you said we need leadership to fix problems and not create an illusion. While illusion is an error in perception, an act of deceiving, are you deceiving? A vision is what someone wants someone to look like. What about the parks? What about the entrance sign? What about the water tower? What about John Rolfe? Have you helped?
Have I helped with the park and that? Has anybody asked me to help
Well,
with the park?
you said, may I respond?
No. Nobody's asked me to help with the park. Nobody asked me to help with the water tower. Nobody asked me to do that. I can't volunteer, but I don't know about it. I mean, we're trying to get more community involvement, but we can't just come into a park and do something. Nobody, if the Park and Rec Board wants something, see something done, bring it out, say it, ask for volunteers. I haven't heard them ask for volunteers. Okay? I know the community group did the John Rolfe deal. It looks good, I'll admit. But nobody is asking for volunteers for that stuff. When they do, not every. Most of the time I don't have, your Parks and Rec meeting is what time?
First Wednesday of the month at 4:30.
Okay.
It's on the calendar on the website.
Maybe I'll have to come one day.
And maybe instead of waiting for somebody to ask for that volunteer, offer. Approach people and ask, is there something I can do? How can I help? Simple.
Like I said, most of what questions are left is basically what has been already answered tonight, or more nuisance abatements, which you guys have all addressed. Yes, I don't pretty much have anything else unless you guys have last words to the constituents.
I want to thank Angie for giving up her time again. A lot of times I know people claim you're not putting enough time in and what have you, but again, I guess maybe because I've done her job before. It's a thankless job, guys. It really is. And so I appreciate the time she's gave towards the city. I thank the officer for coming. We do appreciate the sheriff's department and thank them, please, for us, for watching over us. Again, there's cookies and maybe the coffee. I don't know how bad it is, guys. I don't drink that stuff. But again, help yourself. And thanks everybody for coming.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
And I want to thank the mayor again for everything that he does for this town. He picks up garbage, cleans up yards, he does, so thank you, Jim. He just volunteers.
Yes, before everybody leaves.
So do other people in town, don't worry.
thank you all for coming out.
Thank you guys for.
Yeah, thanks for coming down, guys. There's cookies, there's coffee.
We may disagree on a few things, but what a boring world this would be if we all did it.
I forgot the last, I ran out of room. And I was gonna make a new one, but then I